Quincy reviews, fair use only, fair use only. In Tyler Perry's World War II drama, The 6888, Oprah Winfrey appears as the humanitarian Mary McLeod Bethune. Susan Sarandon, wearing outsized choppers, arrives as Bethune's friend Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of the United States. Together, Roosevelt and Bethune convince President Franklin D. Roosevelt, played by Sam Waterston, to press a piqued general into using black female soldiers to address the mountains of undelivered mail, to soldiers and from them, sitting in airplane hangars in Scotland. There's prestige aplenty in Perry's drama about the only black, all-female, Women's Army Corps unit serving in Europe, the 6,888th Central Postal Directory Battalion. But it is Kerry Washington as Major Charity Adams and Ebony Obsidian as Private Lena Derricott King who command our attention. Major Adams leads 855 women on a 6-month mission to move 17 million moldering, rat-gnawed, blood-stained parcels and letters. The movie, Perry's best yet at balancing his entertainer gifts with his artistic aspirations, veers some from Kevin M. Heimel's article that inspired it, compressing events, creating composite characters and making an interracial friendship into a love story between Lena and Abram, which leads her to volunteer. The drama lands many of the beats of the Greatest Generation genre and its subgenre black service members battling on two fronts. But familiarity doesn't halt it being illuminating and affecting. What initially strikes Major Adams as a menial assignment at best, and a setup for failure at its bigoted worst, becomes a near-sacred operation. And when it does, the film finds a reach-for-your Kleenex grace. The 6888, rated PG-13 for language including racial slurs, thematic material, and some war violence. Running time 2 hours 7 minutes. Watch on Netflix. A correction was made on December 20th, 2024. An earlier version of this review misstated the number of women on the mission led by Major Adams. It was 855, not 850. Perry then takes us back to 1942 to tell a brief, albeit sweet story of Lena, played by Ebony Obsidian, and Abram, portrayed by Greg Sulkin. They are an interracial couple who must say their goodbyes before Abram departs for war. Given the decade, the couple often experience snickering and they get scoffed at by their peers and family. But you know, that doesn't stop their growing love for one another. They promise each other to stay connected via written letters, only for Lena to learn that Abram died in battle. Determined to fight Hitler, Lena joins the Women's Army Corps. Up until this point, Perry does what he most often does in his films: incorporate wonky dialogue to explain scenes that have just happened. It serves no purpose other than to remind us of what's going on, while simultaneously, and hopefully unintentionally, annoying us and insulting our intelligence. The real victims here are the actors, who are forced to regurgitate such nonsensical sentences that lead to iffy performances. Additional writers were needed for this script, but at this point that sentiment is a broken record when it comes to Perry's film productions. The meat on this film's scanty bones approaches when our heroine arrives at basic training along with a handful of colorful side characters. There's Johnny May, who joined the army to escape her abusive husband. Dolores is the compassionate history lover. Elaine is the math genius, while Bernice is longing for education. Together, these women forge a sisterhood full of support, laughs, and understanding that they all want something more for themselves. This is where Perry's feature shines, showing black women in a positive light, a feat that seems foreign to the director. The turning point finally arrives after a special letter emerges. Unfortunately, this moment, which deserves its spotlight due to the emotional weight it's supposed to carry, is weakened by a major event. Perry, no stranger to contrivance, heavily leans on it here, which speaks to a larger issue regarding his films. There's no room to breathe and digest what's happening. Whatever emotion we're supposed to feel gets washed away, whiplash style, due to Perry undercutting his own writing. You'd have to have a black heart not to feel anything at that moment, but Perry doesn't make it easy. History shows there's a positive ending, but the 6888 makes for a frustrating journey getting there. there's a lack of focus on what made these women so valuable to the army. Much of the attention centers on the hurdles they faced to make an impact. Don't get me wrong, racism and sexism were certainly part of their journey. But when a filmmaker, whose track record doesn't necessarily put black women in the best of lights, makes a film about an entire army corps of black women, the result is disappointing. This story and these women deserve better. The 6888 is now available to stream on Netflix. The film is 127 minutes long and rated PG-13 for language including racial slurs, thematic material, and some war violence. It's Quincy Reviews, baby!